What's up, everybody? All right. First of all, big shout out to all you guys for the support. It's been nuts. This last few months, man, the growth that we've had on this channel has been absolutely insane. I appreciate it. All the new guys that are here, depending on what you came from. I mean, the political commentary, gaming talk. Obviously, the guys that have been around for the comic book stuff, we're at 266,000 subs, which is insane. I'm also getting caught up on a bunch of books, so I will say this, that there will be a bunch of comic book stuff once I get all the way caught up. So one positive thing that's come from this is that because books aren't really coming out to the same degree that they were, I'm getting caught up. I'm being in a position of where I can actually, get out there and get caught up, which means more material, which means more. I'm not intimidated. They got 2 boxes over there, but it's fine because it's not that many books being put out. So I'll be caught up. Promise. And we'll start doing some more videos. Shout out to everybody. And if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe, whatever you do. I got some requests to do this particular video. I wasn't the first, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think this would be a good time to talk about it and give my perspective. But there's an article that was going around written by someone by the name of Elania Doctorman. And the title of it is, we're going to read some of it together. We're re-examining how we portray cops on screen. Now it's time to talk about superheroes. Now, when I first see that, I'm looking at it like, okay, this probably is a complete normie. Because I feel like only a normie would say that. And I say this is, obviously a libertarian. You guys have watched my videos. You know where I'm at on the cops and defund the police and all of this stuff. I mean, if you need to get up to date, go check that out. We knew that I knew, and I talked about how defund the police was not like a defund in terms of you keeping your money, services being voluntarily arrived to replace them. This wasn't what it was. It was a front. They wanted to either keep the cops or replace the cops with the woke police and just reroute the funds. So basically it was a money laundering scheme. But let's read what Mrs. Alania Doctorman says. In the past several weeks, as calls to defund the police have gone mainstream pop culture critics and fans have been reconsidering how Hollywood heroizes cops. Legal procedures and shoot-'em-up action movies have long presented a skewed perception of the justice system in America. And I disagree with that, by the way. I feel like we've had a decent balance, definitely in American culture, pop culture, movies and such. You've had a bunch of crooked cops. You've had crooked cops. I mean, you've had cops that were not portrayed as good people. So this idea that they're skewed, yes, there's obviously a bunch of cop shows that present them in the positive light. But there's also a bunch of them that present them within those shows as a negative light. You see cops go rogue, turn on, like you see this all the time, even from all the way to federal stuff, you know what I mean? Criminal Minds and all of that, the CSIs of the world. So to act like let me say this. I disagree with that. And I'm saying this as a guy that, again, is not fond of this institution. Let's continue. Almost like this is a lie of a statement in which the police are almost always positioned as the good guys. It's simply not true. It is simply not true. It is just simply not true. These good cop narratives are rarely balanced out with story of systemic. That's what it is. Just say that. Just say you don't see enough about quote unquote systemic racism, which is just a freaking buzz term at this point in time. And the criminal justice system, bad guys they pursue are often people of color. That's simply not true. Like she's just making this up. Bro, we're one paragraph in. And she's just sitting here making things up. Like most of the criminals are depicted as people of color. That's simply not true. That is simply not true. I don't know what TV shows she's watching, but that's simply not true. That's simply not true. That is simply not true. In this period of reckoning, blah, 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 even going to the Paw Patrol, all this nonsense. But as we engage in overdue conversation about law enforcement, it's high time we also talk about most popular characters in film, the ones who decide the parameters of justice and often enact with violence. Cops with capes. Funny because they use Marvel's Punisher, who doesn't wear a damn cape. Let's see what she has to say. Superheroes have dominated pop culture for the last decade. I guess she's referring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are fixtures of the highest grossing films. This is all true. And icons to more than just our children. All true. They are beacons of inspirations. Protesters dressed as Spider-Man and Batman have turned up in recent Black Lives Matter demonstration. And yet, what are the superheroes except cops without case who enact justice with their powers? I want to see how she brings this home. How long is this read? It's a decent size read. Let's see what we got. Few notable exceptions. More of those later. Most superhero stories star straight white men who either function as an extension of a U.S. Justice system or as vigilantes without checks on their powers. No, not true. There are a lot of white straight men, but she's probably referring to the classics, the Supermans, the Spider-Mans, the Batmans, the Flashes. All of these guys have been around forever, but they aren't all just straight. They aren't all just straight white men. Some of them are straight white women, and some of them are black. As you see, I have some people on my deal here. We have Misty, we have Storm, both black. We have Dr. and Brother Voodoo, which everybody's, because I'm pretty sure he's going to pop up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Nobody's talking about him now, but the normies are going to be like he's their favorite character as they just now find out about him. We have Brother Voodoo there. We do have some women, so meaning they're not all straight and white. We have the Wonder Womans of the world. What else we got here? We got Catwoman down there. I have Bishop down there from X-Men as well. I don't know if he's in the shop. Blade and Wolverine on that one. Blade obviously being a black man. Obviously, Blade is actually, I would argue, what put Marvel back in a position to be able to have desirable movies that people actually wanted to see. So, we can't talk about this without talking about Blade. But, hey, sure, forget all of that. I would even concede, though, that a lot of them are the more prominent ones. But I think a lot of that just has to do, that are straight and white men. But I think a lot of that has to do with just the time that they came about and the dedication that has been put to growing them. That's just what it is. It's more of a first usage type of deal. As you see in the last about 30 years, though, or so, 30, 40 years, you've seen the black ones pop up. So to not acknowledge that, I think is just a tainty bit dishonest. Usually they have gone some tentative relationship with the government. The Avengers work for the secretive agency S.H.I.E.L.D. This is a normie. And this is why, look, all she's doing right now, right out the get-go, is proving to me that she does not read these comic books. This is why I keep telling. And I know a lot of y'all get upset with me when I talk about normies in this form and fashion, because what they do is they try to hijack what already exists and try to make it about themselves. So if there's a depiction that they don't like, that's why they advocate for race changes and all of these sorts of stuff, and they champion these things because she don't know what the hell they talking about. Avengers working for the secret agency S.H.I.E.L.D. is something that she just picked up from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is not anything that is it's like core to the Avengers as far as S.H.I.E.L.D. Have they worked with them? Absolutely. Batman takes orders from Gotham Police Commissioner Gordon. This is false. This is fake news. He may work with Gordon and even some other GCPD people, but to act like he just takes orders from Gordon, you're on crack. Okay. Even the villainous members of the Suicide Squad execute government orders. Okay, that's specifically why they exist. Like oh man, am I gonna have to read this whole entire thing? Because this woman doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And even when superheroes function outside the justice system, they're sometimes idolized by police because they are able to skirt the law and get the job done. I don't know who she's referring to, maybe Punisher. But Punisher isn't necessarily praised by police in the books. In fact, real life police officers, yep, here we go, sometimes adopt symbolism of these rogue anti-heroes, the Punisher. Yep, they often do that. Marvel felt the need to address this. No, it wasn't Marvel, actually. It was more of the guy that created them. In 2019, a group of police fanboys run up to police, said, "We believe in you." One shows off a Punisher skull sticker on his car. I do remember this. She probably just Googled that though. I'm willing to bet she don't own any of these Punisher books. Punisher rips a stick out and says, "We're not the same. You took an oath to uphold the law. You help people. I gave up on that a long time ago. You don't do what I do. Nobody does." And that's not. She's taking that and she's being dishonest because she's trying to paint this as they are acknowledging it in a way that that paints it as a like they work together. Or so, and so that was never alluded to. This is just Punisher being the Punisher, saying both of them they're not the same because they're not. But anyway, the Punisher is representative of a larger problem in superhero narratives. When Batman ignores orders and goes rogue, he doesn't take orders from anybody unless there's some small chance that, let's say, Green Lantern is chair of Justice League or something like that. That like Batman doesn't just be taking orders like that. What are these people talking about? There's no oversight committee to assess whether Bruce Wayne's biases influence who he brings to justice and how. Heroes like Iron Man occasionally feel guilt about the casualties they inflict, but ultimately empower themselves again and draw those moral lines. That's what being a hero necessarily is about. It's not going by way of the books. It's not going by way of the law. That's why they're vigilantes, idiot. Most of the blockbuster, in the real world, meanwhile, tolerance for law enforcement acting with impunity is eroding. Those calling for the dismantling of modern policing point and the lack of consequences. Okay, I give you all of that. As these urgent conversations dominate the news, it is increasingly unclear how either the arm of the law or the vigilante narrative can survive without serious reconsideration. Bad writers and normie and trying to appeal to people like you that would never read a book, maybe that's an issue. But for those of us that have been around, don't have any issue with I'll tell you what, they've been doing a lot of goofball stuff in the recent era of comics. Aside from that though, as far as the concept of being a superhero, there's nothing wrong with that. Most of the blockbuster Marvel and DC Comics movies, and she keeps referring to movies, skirt the issue of who should define justice for whom. Captain America Civil War, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice briefly float the idea of superheroes oversight, but both devolve into quick field CGI fistfights. In fairness, the Civil War storyline and Marvel Comics more thoughtfully plumbs the depths of that socio-political debate. What's more, given that the creators and stars of these movies have historically been white men, well, they're using characters that have been historically white men. It's hard surprising that so few reckon with issues of systemic racism. God damn it, man. Let alone sexism, homophobia. See, she's admitting, bros. I've tried to tell you guys this over the course of the last years. She is absolutely admitting what I've long said. They don't have any desire to keep anything true to the character, putting them in narratives that absolutely make sense. What they want to do and why they get upset when they don't is hijack the characters, hijack the narratives, and they want to make it about what they want to talk about. So you use the characters to talk about these sort of issues, sexism and homophobia and transphobia. And it's like, dude, a lot of us don't read these books to or fall in love with these characters because they sit there and attack all of these different things. Like, come on, bros. Like, maybe in a narrative, one-off or something like that, but to act like that they're supposed to be all the time, because you say it's hardly surprising so few with dude, we don't want to sit up here and watch CNN as we're reading books or even watching movies for that matter. Bigotry embedded in the justice system and the inherent biases of these superheroes might carry with them as they patrol the streets in the universe. God damn it, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this. A new kind of hero. There's some history of reckoning with police and black superhero film Blade. Launched the movie written by a white man references tensions between black communities and police. In one scene, two cops walk in on Blade fighting a clear monstrous vampire and begin shooting at Blade. Blade turns around like, "Yeah, your damn mind." It's played as a throwaway moment, but one rings true decades on. Most recently, racial injustice has become the centerpiece for some superhero films. Yes, we know that Black Panther. We knew that they were going to deal with that. He faces off would-be usurper named Killmonger, blah, blah, blah. All right. Telling me I know what happened there, and I'm guessing she's sack-riding Black Panther because they dealt with, they had this sort of they try to present him as an anti-hero when he was clearly a friggin' villain in the Killmonger, but they stand over that type of stuff. When superheroes and cops collide, it's not just superheroes that act like members of law enforcement. Sometimes they interact with them directly. Spider-Man has long had a complicated relationship with NYPD. Spider-Man video game received some pushback over what many call propaganda. In that game, Peter Parker is a fan of the police, even fantasizing about being Spider Cop. He spends much of the game fixing surveillance. Yes, he works with NYPD or with an individual member every now and then, and yes, he does kind of do like the whole he goofs around and does the Spider Cop thing. But come on, bro. Like, and I'm saying this as an anarcho-capitalist. Like, you tripping. That game was incredible. With the introduction of Miles Morales, who made his debut in the comics, could offer more opportunity. See, they just want to use the character to explore this racial BS. Like I said, guys, it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better. This is where we're at. They're wanting to use the characters and they want to funnel these goofy Miles, who is just nothing but Peter Parker, Black Peter Parker, and they're going to attempt to use you. I told you, crackheads. They're just gonna attempt to use him to put forth these. It's basically gonna be CNN in a show form or TV movie or whatever form. That's what it's gonna be. Spider-Verse sequel, many will focus more on Miles and deal with the race more directly. You see what I mean? Like, that's what they want, bros. They specifically want that. Like, and these are normies. These are guys that have never picked up a book, but he's showing up every UK. He became everybody's favorite tokenized character once he appeared in Spider-Verse, and now they feel like, oh, we have to use him to project, essentially. We got to put our personal social political views through the character. Unbelievable, man. Watchmen, which was trash. I'm not even going to acknowledge this. I couldn't even get through this garbage. The way forward of Hollywood is to do better in telling stories. More creators of color need to be given the reins to tell them. And I can tell you what, I'm not going to be one of the persons of color because I don't have the right political views. And the ones that do have different political views, aside from just mainstream leftists, aren't going to get these roles. They'll get these black folks and other folks to write these characters, and all they're going to do is write the same crap that these white leftists were going to write. It's just not going to be any change in the content because that's what they want to do as well. They want to take these characters and hijack them. This woman's an idiot. I'm gonna tell you like that. But what this does do is highlight everything that I've said before when it comes to mainstream normies and comic book characters. That's the gift. It's a gift and a curse. Awesome that some of the characters that we know and love, we've read in these books time and time again, are going to be coming to life. They're going to be, we're going to see them in live action depictions, which to me is what it's about. That to me is awesome. It's been awesome. I get to see characters that I otherwise would have never seen because we have this growth. People are willing to invest more in these movies. People are willing to invest more in these characters. You would not have asked me 10 years ago, and I would have been like, Monica Rambeau is going to show up in a movie. You know what I'm saying? Or show up in a show or something like that. Like, this is awesome time to be a fan. However, the curse is that because it's become more mainstream, as far as the movies are concerned, and we have this whole sort of movement of social justice happening now, people are going to take the characters and write the most on the nose like stories, where it's basically going to be the writers putting their social political views and funneling it through the characters. This is exactly what it's going to be. I don't want to sit up here and spend another 5 minutes going through, oh, what about the X-Men? Blah, 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 blah. It's always going to be, there's always been political. Comics, no, they have not to the degree that you guys are talking about. They'll say have explored some of these elements, but not always were they on the nose as such. And using X-Men as an example is actually a terrible example because they were not on the nose as such. You also don't know about that. Actually watch a video that I did. Is called something along the lines like X-Men and the social justice myth, where I shatter all of the talking points that you guys utilize. Nonetheless, this is going to get worse before it gets better because now it's convenient, politically expedient, politically and socially convenient to signal. It was already being in the comics, but now it's going to be in the comics even more, and everybody's going to feel like they have to tackle these elements because that's who they are trying to appeal to, and nobody wants to buy these books other than normies, and normies won't buy the books. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of how they operate. But that's what we're going to see a lot of. And you're going to see some of these characters crossing in, and they're going to be given the most laziest storylines. Black character has to deal with race. Gay character has to deal with sexuality. Only people that get the benefit of having creative stories are the people that are white and straight and men, generally. Female character has to deal with feminism, or more so misogyny and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? That's what people don't seem to understand. I'm going to end on this note. This is the difference, even in comic books. Why have these straight white characters that are men have stuck around? Some of it's by way of just them being around for so long, but not always. Straight white characters, you have to get people to write them to be at their utmost creative. There's no social ill to fall back on, right? Because you see them as the upper echelon. Y'all do, not me. Y'all see them as the upper echelons of just greatness, right? And they're on the top of the chain, the food chain. Okay, got you. That forces the writers to have to come up with absolutely creative themes and absolutely creative narratives and so forth when it comes to these characters. That's what they have to do. Other characters show up that aren't straight white men. You have to focus on the fact that they're not straight white men. And that's what you have to hyperemphasize. And that's why often they lack and have these very, very predictable storylines. These guys are hacks, and a lot of these hacks are about to start getting these jobs, diversity hires and such. Normies.